do opening exercises and pledge for us?
Yes, ma'am. Nikki, if you come forward. Board members, I wanted to really do a special treat for Ms. Powers, because this will be your last meeting in this term for as chairperson.
As
and
chairperson.
So
I'll just move to another chair.
you just move to another chair, but I wanted to do something that was a little special towards you. And so Miss Nikki Poulos is an 11th grader from Lecanto High School. She's in the IB program.
Excellent.
She's part of chorus. She's also a golfer. And she is going to do a rendition of God Bless America for you, Ms.
Yeah, I
Powers,
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
whenever you'd like.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairie to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Play.
You need to have a job as a talent scout.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and thank you, Miss Nikki. Have a good afternoon.
We appreciate it. It's lovely. Okay, next we have the adoption of the agenda as recommended by the superintendent with a couple of changes. If you look down on 5 on your agenda copy, number 2, that's been pulled from the agenda. And if you turn the page to number 3, that's also pulled from the agenda. It'll come back next time, but this time it was pulled. And in addition to the agenda, you were given a piece of paper that talked about Mrs. Farmer's going to present a request to purchase the radio equipment. We're going to put that down under Roman numeral 5 and number 4. And I think, let me go back to the reformatted agenda because that might be a little different.
Okay,
It'll be number 2.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda as recommended by the superintendent with the exceptions of 5B2 and 3, which are pulled from the agenda, and 5B4 for the request approval to purchase radio equipment to be added to the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Mr. Dodds, second by Mr. Kennedy to approve the agenda with the 2 pulls and the 1 addition. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries 4-0. Thanks very much. Well, this is the first citizens' comments. Do we have any green cards? Okay, great. Now, I need approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Bryan, seconded by Mr. Kinsey to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 4-0. Thank you. And recognition of donations, please.
We have a $1,000 donation to Lecanto Middle School from Joseph Sheffershine. We have a $9,500 grant donation to Crystal River Primary School from Duke Energy, and grants funded by the Citrus County Education Foundation totaling $100,765.69 for the month of October.
Oh, gracious. Thank you so much. And thank you all the people who donated money to us. I really appreciate it. And I know someone feels sorry for us because of the bill that did not pass. But we really appreciate it. Okay, next, school operations, Mr. Mullen. And who's going to present that?
Ms. Douglas.
Ms. Douglas.
Good afternoon, board. I just need a moment to set up.
Go ahead. No. Okay, we're just setting up.
Good afternoon. Today I'm going to give you an overview of our Title I plan. I'm going to give you an overview on exactly what Title I is. We're going to talk about the history of our Title I allocations, and then we're going to talk about our Title I budget, and I'll see if you have any questions on our current budget to be approved. I'm going to start with an overview of Title I, our federal program funding source. It's the largest federal aid that we receive, and I think it's important that we have an overview on exactly what Title I entails and the requirements. So Title I started from the Secondary and Elementary Education Act by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964. I have a YouTube video clip. I think I'll skip that for today, but it is a video that gives us a history on this federal program and its intent to help our most disadvantaged students. So that is really where Title I is coming from. And as we know, we went from the Elementary Secondary Education Act to No Child Left Behind, and now of course we're moving to ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, and I'll talk a little more about that. So in Citrus County, all of our elementary and middle schools are school-wide Title I programs. What does that mean for us? It means that all of our elementary and middle schools are over 40% free reduced lunch. The students on free and reduced lunch. That percentage is given to us through our DOE database, and it's through census data. So in Citrus County, we chose to have our elementary and middle schools as Title I schools because first and foremost, we believe in that early foundation and making sure that we have interventions for our students in the elementary world. We expanded to middle school about 4 years ago, when we found that our elementary students were moving into middle school and we did not have any funding available to provide those reading and math interventions for our students. So we did expand to the middle school world. And so Title I funds in our district are used school-wide because we are fortunate enough to be able to utilize that funding for all of our students. So not only can we remediate, we can also enrich. So the next slide just talks about how we can do that because we are over 40%. As a district, we are about 73% based on the last percentages ran from February FTE.
We're 73%?
73%, yes ma'am.
Wow.
So to be a school-wide Title I school, not only do you get the benefits of that funding, you also get the benefits of having funding to work with our parents and to really focus on family engagement. There are requirements with that as well. So what are the components of a school-wide plan? So I work closely with our school leadership teams and school teachers, our Title I teachers, on developing a comprehensive needs assessment. We begin that process as we speak right now. It's a cyclical process and it goes through all year. As you know, we had a school retreat last summer, and we started really diving into our data and really developing Title I plans and school improvement plans that met the needs of our students. So that needs assessment really helped us gather data, gather information on how we would utilize this supplemental funding. So we also have school-wide reform strategies in place. MTSS is one example, early warning system. We have our one-to-one initiative. We have a lot of school reform strategies in place in our district. Highly qualified teachers, that is part of No Child Left Behind. This is the last year, as of today, that we will enact on the highly qualified status. It does fall under No Child Left Behind. Now, as of right now, we're still operating under that umbrella. That could change with ESSA. And on the flip side, it could not change. But as of right now, we're still making sure that our teachers are highly qualified, and we have funding set aside for that. We focus on staff development with Title I funding. We work to recruit highly qualified teachers, and as you know, we do have a shortage in Citrus County, so we're really trying hard to put some strategies in place to recruit qualified teachers. Strategies to increase parental involvement. This was something that we have been focusing on not only at the school-wide level, but at the district with our Star Tech Nights, our Tech Helpline, and our Family University Nights. We include teachers on the decision-making process. We are so fortunate to be in Citrus County and include our teachers in input on our assessments, our formative assessments, the strategies we put into place, and the interventions for our students. We have interventions in place for our most at-risk students, but we also have enrichment for our higher level students and our average students as well. We have programs for them. And coordinating and integrating with other programs is crucial for this grant. So I give you these components because these are all part of a Title I plan. So in your hands, when you look through the budget, you saw the end result. But this would be one of the first steps. A school gathers everything together to develop their budgets, and these are all requirements. So how do we utilize our Title I funds? We add highly qualified staff. We support parent and community involvement. Out of our total funding allocation that we receive, 1% must be utilized for family engagement, parent involvement. And of that, 95% of the 1% goes to schools, and you'll see that in their allocation. Now, that doesn't mean this is all we can spend. We can spend more than 1%, but the requirement is 1%, and then 95% of that 1% goes to the schools. We enhance and provide staff development. We purchase instructional supplemental materials and supplies, and this is very important because Title I, we have to make sure that what we are providing our students in schools is supplemental. It cannot be anything required by the local district or state, and I'll go into more detail in a moment on that. And technology. So district required set aside, so once we receive our allocation, in March, April, we receive that allocation, we have to make sure that we have district required set asides. So that means I have a requirement to say, okay, you have to put money towards highly qualified teachers. You have to put money towards family engagement. You have to put money for our neglected and delinquent students. You have to put money towards homeless, and you also have to put money towards private schools if there is an interest there. In Citrus County, we have 3 private schools that we serve: St. John Paul, Solid Rock Christian Academy, and Inverness Christian Academy. The allocation process, once again, comes out about March, April. That is based on census data. Once again, that amount comes to us as a district, and then we also receive an allocation estimate. And so with that, I start working with the schools. We work through our staffing plans together, and that's when we start looking at the supplemental intervention teachers at the school sites that we need to have in place. So this process will begin very soon, and it's, as I shared, a cyclical process. We submit that grant application in June, July, working with the schools, and then we receive notification once it's approved. So this year, and you have this in your budget packet, we received $5,090,554, plus we had a rollover estimate of $600,000, which was a total of $5,690,000, $5,690,000 $554. I've never had $1 million to say it. When I say that, when I tell you that the rollover estimate is $600,000, I have received now the final budget amount of rollover, and I will share that in a moment because our budget is now closed out. So this was an estimate back in March, April, May, and now we've closed out our budget. It's $573,000, and I'll share that in a moment. So schools must annually be ranked by percentage of students in poverty ages 5 to 17. So once we get our allocation, we start to look at those free reduced lunch percentages that I received in February. We also receive a public school eligibility survey that also includes percentages, and then I compare the two, and then we make sure that we have the correct percentages for our schools. And then once those district set-asides are completed, we look at the allocations for the school, and we serve them in rank order. That means we serve them based on the percentage of free and reduced lunch students and the number of students that they serve that are free and reduced lunch. And then we rank and serve them in that order. And that's how we determine their per pupil allocation. A lower poverty school cannot receive a higher allocation than a higher ranked school.
What exactly does that mean?
That means that, for example, Homosassa Elementary, they're at 81, I think, 0.26%. We cannot have a higher per pupil allocation at, say, Central Ridge Elementary because their free reduced lunch numbers are not as high, their percentages. So we cannot provide students at Central Ridge Elementary a higher per pupil allocation amount. Their students cannot receive more funding than Homosassa Elementary per student. And I have that, I'll show you, okay? I lost my train of thought. Okay, so we develop the school budgets based on the comprehensive needs assessment, the allocation, we go through the school staffing, March, April, May, June. We had our school retreat this past year. We made sure that our budgets fit the needs of the schools, that the school improvement plans were based on the needs, and then our budget reflected our goals and the interventions our students need. Also, staff development is a huge piece of Title I. And we made sure we had staff development planned at the school sites and district level. This just goes over more requirements, parent notification. We work closely with our families, as I've shared. We have a parent involvement plan required at each school and at the district level. Parents' right to know letter, this must be sent out at the beginning of the school year to each parent, letting the parents know that they have the right to request information on their teacher's certification requirements. Student achievement reports must go home, have a qualified status. We must let our parents know if we have a long-term sub in our child's class, for example, and school parent compacts are completed. So in your budget packet, you have, by each amount, a need. There are 9 needs that are required in the narrative part of the grant. So now I'm really trying to provide that global picture, and I'm narrowing in on the actual budget process. So when I sit down to write the grant, we look at what the schools have already allocated. They've created their budgets by this time, and then we look at the needs. Need 1 is strengthening foundation skills. So anywhere you see a budget line item with need 1, that need is based on the strengthening foundation skills. Need 2, improving the quality of teaching. Need 3, increasing parental involvement. Need 4, provide comparable services to homeless students in Title I schools. Title I works closely with our Title X grant. Need 5, neglected and delinquent support. Need 6, thank goodness we don't have to worry about focus and priority schools. It is not applicable for Citrus County because our schools are so good. Need 7, improving college and career awareness. Need 8, technology. Need 9, LEA activities. These are district-wide activities. So by each budget item, you'll see a need, and those are the overall arching needs. Under each need in the narrative, we have to make sure that we have activities. Each activity has to have baseline data, a goal and objective. We have to describe each specific activity that the district and school will be doing in a narrative. We have to describe how the activities are consistent with school improvement plans, the frequency, duration, and describe the process the district will use to evaluate the effectiveness of the activities. And so, once that grant is completed and it's ready to go, we have a test. We have to make sure that along the way, we are providing supplemental services, not supplanting. And that means everything in that Title I grant has to be in addition to what we are providing. Anything that is supplemental, it has to be in addition to what's required by the district, in addition to what's required by the state. For example, we're in the process of a textbook adoption. We could not utilize Title I funding for that textbook adoption because it is required. However, if we wanted to supplement that by computerized programs such as Study Island, which we do, then that would certainly be okay. These are some examples. I have to look here because I can't see that far. Supplemental research-based are ELA, anything supplemental to the curriculum, we can certainly do. Any ELA instruction. We have Core Connection staff development we're doing with our elementary and middle schools. That's supplemental. We're allowed to do that, and it's certainly very good use of Title I funding. Any supplemental math, social studies, science, foreign language, parent involvement, and staff development. Tutorials, we have a lot of schools doing before or after school tutoring. Small group instruction, which is a big focus in our grant because I think have a little over 28 teachers, and when I say a little over, we have a couple schools that have half-time teachers funded through Title I. So those teachers work in small group differentiated instruction. They work with our students to provide Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction, individualized instruction, computer-aided instruction, and extended learning opportunities. Those are all supplemental activities and very appropriate for Title I. So the three questions I always ask: how does this expenditure directly support student achievement? How does it directly support staff development and enhance what we're doing in the classroom? And how does this expenditure help the participation of our parents and engage our families? So that is a very broad overview. And now I'm going to hone in onto the budget, unless there are any questions about Title I overall. It's a lot of information, I know. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the Title I roll forward history.